Videos over stem and leaf plots and histograms. We're going to start with stem and leaf plots. Stem and leaf plots display numeric data and a chart with stems and leaves. So I have an example of me asking 10 people how many states they have visited. Here are the results. So these are the answers that 10 people gave me on how many states they visited. So for the least, one person had only visited 6 states. In the greatest, one person had visited 32 states. And then we have a bunch of numbers in the middle. Now before we take this information and put it in our chart, we need to decide what will represent our stems and what will represent our leaves. Okay, I've decided that my stems are going to be the tens place and my leaves are going to be the ones place. So you're often going to see a key given to you for the stem and leaf plots. And this tells you what your stems are, and what your leaves are, and what they will equal when you put them together. So if I have a stem of 2 and a leaf of 0, that would give me the value of 20. All right, so now we're going to take this information and put it into our stem and leaf plot. So my first two values are 6 and 8. They have a tens place of 0, so my first stem is going to be a 0. And I put the leaves 6 and 8. No commas. You can leave a little bit of space between them, but it is known that the 6 and the 8 do not go together. They are two separate values. All right, then we have all of our values with a 1 in the tens place. So we have 11, 11, 14, and 16. So you'll notice I'm putting the ones places under the leaves, and then the tens place stays in the stems. For my 20s, we have 2 here, 20, 20, and 21. So I put a 0, 0, and a 1 under the leaves. And then for 32, I put a 3 in the stem and a 2 as his leaf, 32. So from here, I could find my median, I could find my range. To find the median, you can either use your list right here and find the middle, or you can look at the leaves and find the middle leaf. Okay, so if I were to go back and forth, greatest and least on the leaves, which gets a little tricky, I should end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So right here between the 14 and the 16 is my median. So that means my median would be a 15. The range, so that's the median. The range would be found by taking the greatest minus the least. So the greatest is 32, the least is 6. 32 minus 6 gives us 26. So we have a range of 26. All right. Next we have the histogram. A histogram is a type of bar graph whose bars represent how many data values are in each group. Another word for group is intervals. Okay, it should look like an E or an L instead of an E. So I'm using the same data as before. I already have my stem and leaf plot. I'm going to put this information into a frequency table so that you can see where my bars are coming from. So my first interval or my first group is going to be the number of people that said they had visited between 0 and 9 states. So that's this group right here, the group that had visited 6 states and 8 states. So only 2 people are in that group. My next interval is the group of people that had visited between 10 and 19 states. That would be this group right here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 people. I have 4 leaves, so it's 4 people in that group. Between 20 and 29, that'll be this group right here. 3 leaves means I had 3 people. Select that. And then between 30 and 39, 1 person. The person that had visited 32 states is in that group. So now we're going to put this information in our histogram. And one thing you need to know, the bars are going to touch. They're going to be right next to each other, and the bar will fill up the whole interval space. So for my first interval, 0 to 9, I have a frequency of 2. So it's going to start on the edge, go up to 2, and go all the way over to the other edge of that interval. All right, the next one is 10 to 19. That goes up to 4. Okay, see the bars touch. They take up the whole space. From 20 to 29, we have 3. And from 30 to 39, we have 1. All right, so as you can tell, the bars, all they tell you is how many data values are in that group. So if I wanted to know how many data values are in the group from 10 to 19, I would look right here at this bar. It is 4, so there are 4 data values in that interval. And I could combine. I could say how many data values are in the groups that are more than 20. So I'd be looking at these two groups right here. This one has 3 and this one has 1. So more than 20 has a frequency of 4 because it's those two combined. So that's some things that they might ask you for a histogram. The last thing I want to talk about is how these two things are similar and how they're different. So they're similar in that they group the values into intervals. So they both do that. We have stems, and then we have intervals in the histogram. Also, if you turn a stem and leaf plot turned sideways, it looks just like a histogram. Stem and leaf plot turned sideways looks like a histogram. It kind of looks like the bars sticking up where the leaves are. It's really cool. How are they different? A stem and leaf plot shows you exact values. A histogram only tells you how many values are in each group. So we don't have specifics for the histogram. For the histogram, you cannot find the range. You cannot find the median. You can't find the mean. All I can tell you is there was 3 people who had visited 20 to 29 states. That's all I can tell you. I can't tell you the average of that. So the histogram is very vague, while the stem and leaf plot is very specific. All right? So once you finish these notes, go get your worksheet and get to work on it.